What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Many Thoughts with Dr.T show reviews. And today we are going to wrap up Never Ever Met Season 2, the reunion. Okay, like I always say, I be fighting for my life every week. So it's a week late. In my defense, it was Jermaine's birthday weekend. And we didn't have our three boys. And so we said, hey, do we want to hustle to get out a podcast episode or do we want to chill? And we decided to just chill. So we had a great time. I feel refreshed and rejuvenated and reset. Um, so that was good. That was good. Last year for Never Ever Mets, they didn't do a reunion. And now I see why. This reunion was really lame to me. Like I think we could have done without it. Normally when you have a reunion, you have to introduce some element of surprise, right? They could have brought on Kiki's ex, right? This ex that she can't get over. They could have brought him. They could have brought one of Clay's. They should have brought his friend back. That woman that came to the house that jumped on him and hugged him. Could have brought her on. Charlie, one of her baby daddies, Jared, something, right? You got to introduce some element of surprise, or somebody needs to come with some receipts and say, see, he was lying because I found out this. It was nothing. I literally felt like not only that, but it was just like also if they come on here and maybe somebody has had a change of heart, like, I know I did XYZ on the show, but now I understand that. Da, da, da. Like I didn't even get that. It's like almost like they just picked up right after like we just left the house. Like everybody still felt the same exact way. It was just I didn't get anything out of it. So I say that to say I'm gonna try to extend this review to at least 10 minutes. But it really was nothing. I didn't learn anything new or I wasn't like oh or anything like that. So we start off with Alicia and Irvin. So again, they kept the same banter from the house. Nothing changed. Elisa says she did say that she wished she wouldn't have, or maybe if she could redo it, she wouldn't have used the word unsafe. That she felt unsafe. And then Irvin is back with his ex. I mean, I really don't have any commentary on it. I mean, we know she didn't see it for him. Like the second she laid eyes on him on that first date, something was off, and then she couldn't let it go, and she was finding other things. But it really was attraction, in my opinion. And then Irvin, he wasn't gonna go for the disrespect, like Ty and Brandon, and just hang around for the free food. So, yeah, that was that. Tatiana and Clay. I was hoping because sometimes I be thinking like when people show themselves on these shows, right? And then they go back home and they watch it like we watching it. I be hoping that they'll be like, dang, I'm kind of messed up in the way I was thinking about that or the way I treated that person or did that person. And whenever that happens and when they show back up on these reunion shows and they're still in the exact same train of thought, then that lets me know, okay, they're operating in some form of delusion. And that was Clay's case. He said he came on the show with expectations to grow. He believes the whole hug situation was exaggerated and they showed it to us again. He could have been right on that. I mean, maybe if the people in the house weren't putting sauce on it, maybe it wouldn't have been as much made about it as it was. So I could buy it on that. But it still was kind of inappropriate in totality if you look at all the things she was doing, talking down to Tatiana, kind of holding his arm and walking with him, plus the hug and everything together. It was a lot. Yeah, so my conclusion was this that Clay hasn't learned anything. Like I didn't hear anything that was changing in the way he thought, in the way he handled her. He really thought he was like on the up and up still. So I was surprised by that. And I did clock how Chris took up for Tatiana. So, Chris is with Alexis. I can't remember exactly what was said or whatever, but I do remember thinking like, dang, Chris, is that your girl? Like, what was that about? So I clocked that, put a pin in it. All right, so then we moved on to Brittany and Ty. Again, same delusion for both of them. Brittany felt Ty kept crossing her boundary. She told Ty she didn't want to kiss. She didn't like being slapped on the butt. And she says that she keeps quiet to keep the peace, but she's working on it. Ty doesn't have anybody. But yeah, Brittany is another one. I thought she would be like, you know what, I was doing the most a little bit. You know, I do have my boundaries, but I could have treated you a little bit differently and communicated with you. And but nah, she was still on that same thing. And it was so funny because Jay still hates her from how she was tickling Cinco and communicating and touching Cinco. So Jay still had the fire for her on this show during the reunion. So then they play a short game. They ask who was the peacemaker. You know, that's Cinco. You know, I was always calling him mediator Cinco. He's really good with his words and with communication. And then they said another crazy question: who would you date in the house outside of the person you came with? So Brandon was talking about Charlie. I was like, Brandon, do you want 5 kids right now? What are you talking about? And then the Chris and Tatiana thing came up again. So I definitely feel like it's a little bit more on Chris's side. He was leaning into it. So he definitely is attracted to her. I think they could be a thing. I wasn't getting the same thing back from Tatiana. So then we move to Jay and Cinco. So she says that Cinco comes to Chicago every month and has roses delivered. And Jay says he's one of the good ones. And he said he'll marry Jay eventually if everything keeps going well. So I was happy and excited for them. This is what I thought should happen. I thought that she should stay. And if he's serious, he needs to prove that he needs to be doing the traveling and all the stuff. And then if they get to the point where they get married, then she could consider going to wherever he's at. So sounds like they're doing that. Whatever they're doing is working. Um, I was like, oh Lord, I hope he's not about to propose because the way he got up and everything, but he had to go for a basketball tryout or something. So I thought the show was like trying to put pressure on him. So happy for them. Then Chris and Alexis, they're no longer together. Alexis says she had to reevaluate herself, and she didn't like that she caused so many triggers in Chris. Um, yeah, so Chris is not talking to anyone, and Alexis is dating. Um, yeah, I mean, I was kind of confused on this because I thought when Chris and Alexis were in the house, like he was telling her all this stuff. Like we heard it because he was like, "Yeah, you're controlling. You do this. You were doing this." So maybe I guess this was all new to her. Evidently, I thought maybe these are things that they had always been discussing, but I guess this was all new to her. So I guess when she got back home and she really stopped and thought about it and probably watched a lot of it back on the show, she must have been like, "Wait a minute." Do you like anything about me? Which is what I was always saying. So good for her for cutting it off. Not that I think either of them are bad people, but I just don't think it was a fit. Um, he would have always been thinking she was trying to control something. She would have always been trying to dim her light or play herself down to make sure she's not. And I just don't think I don't think it was a match. So yes, I wasn't surprised about that, but I was hoping maybe that would give an end for Tatiana. Okay, so then Clay is still concerned about Chris saying he would come back to the house with Tatiana. So Clay felt a way about that. Um, and you know what? And this is what I'm saying. Production host, come on. So, when all this was going on, why didn't somebody say, hey, Chris, Tatiana, would you guys consider dating? Like, would you at least extend your number to him? Like, would you guys consider maybe being a little closer than friends outside of the show. Something to make them say something on the spot. You know what I'm saying? So that was a missed opportunity, I thought, because that was brewing. We could all see the chemistry, what was going on, the flirtation. Chris was taking up and defending Tatiana against Clay. Um, at the end of the show, they kind of showed us a little bit. He kind of went up and talked to her or whatever. I wasn't feeling that she was feeling him the same way though. Cause he tried, you could tell, but he didn't want to do too much. And she was like, haha, yeah, thank you, appreciate it. So I was like, okay, maybe she's just not into him like that. So then Brandon and Kiki, same thing, nothing new here. Brandon did say he might have over exaggerated the drinking, and but he was still mad at her for waiting so late to reveal about the ex, which is understandable. And of course, Kiki was still in delusion and just standing in everything that she was saying. Um, but I still think she not over that ex. And then finally, we got Jared and Charlie. And again, same thing. I thought maybe once he watched it back, but no, no. Some people it's just who they are, and Jared is just who he is. It's in his blood. He says that he was protecting her feelings, you see. And I thought I owed it to her to at least try. He says good sex checks a lot of boxes that normally wouldn't be checked. Which is true, and that's why you really gotta wait because sex blinds, and so he was true about that, and you can't see clearly about what's really happening. Um, but Charlie says she doesn't think he tried because he tried to leave on day 2. And then Charlie also let us know that she wouldn't be able to leave Dallas where she stays to go to South Carolina, which I feel like is where he lives. And she's gonna get that tattoo removed, which is crazy. And it's like it's hard to feel sorry for Charlie because it's like, so you trying to tell me your end game was to you never met this guy, but you want to come onto a show, surprise him with 3 extra kids you hadn't told him about, and then you thought after the show he was gonna up and say, you know what, I'm gonna move to Dallas with you because you can't move, remember? So that was your game plan. You was gonna say, surprise, I got 4. And then he got 1, and then he was gonna say, okay, yeah, I'm gonna come to Dallas and live with you. And then y'all was gonna live happy ever after. It's like, Charlie, come on. That never made sense. But like I said, Jared's just a playboy. I'm not excusing him either. It's just in his blood. That's the type of guy that's dangerous because he has so much charisma. He's so sweet talking. He's unassuming, looks like he has it all together. And that's why you just got to be having your good eye open. You got to be looking at all times. And Charlie, I can't even feel sorry for her. So that's all I had, y'all. Like I said, this was very underwhelming. They probably just don't need to do a reunion. I think last time what they did was they called in to the couples. And if they were together, they'd be, on the camera together. And if they were separate, they would call in separate to each one, which kind of makes sense with the theme of the show, Never Ever Met, to be a long distance type of thing. So it fit. I think that probably worked a little bit better than this. It was a good kiki. It was a good laugh, but I really didn't get anything out of it or learn anything new that I hadn't already. So good season 2. I enjoyed it. I think it was really good. Like I said, I wish that they would have just gotten regular couples, not 3 different couples that got secret babies. I don't even know how they found these people. I wish they would have just got regular couples like Jay and Cinco. And naturally, some little drama is going to spill out. So I don't think they had to be worried about that piece. I guess they just had to make sure they could bring the drama. So that kind of skewed it for me a little bit. But overall, it was still pretty entertaining. So I enjoyed it. And I hope y'all did too. I enjoyed reviewing the show with y'all. So what's coming up is I'm also going to do Ready to Love. I've been on Ready to Love since the beginning. So that's another on network show. It's supposed to be coming back out in August, I believe. I heard that somewhere. They definitely said summer. But I thought I seen August somewhere. It's so weird. They dropped 6 episodes and because it came back on in February. Then they took like this 3-4 month break and then they're gonna come back with the others. I don't know what's going on with production at the OWN network, but anyway, that's I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna start back up my mini thoughts with Dr. T as well. That's starting back up in August. So I took the summer off, and y'all know I do that every other Friday. So the first one is going to hit August 1st. So I'm gonna do the 1st, the 15th, the 29th, and then every other Friday. So that is all I have, and I also wanted to say that what you can do so that you know when my next video comes out in August, because this show is over and then somebody's son is over as well. So y'all probably won't see me for the month of July. Um, so don't only subscribe, but once you subscribe, make sure you check the all button with the bell because by default, I think this personalized one is going to be checked. But if you do all, anytime I come out with a video, it'll pop up on your phone and it'll just push it to you. So I just wanted to show you that. Um, yeah, so I enjoyed reviewing these shows with y'all, and I will see you guys very soon in about another month or so. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click the bell so you get all the notifications, and I'll see y'all soon. See ya.